If 1 year ago you had asked me what I thought of Temu, I would have said, what the hell is Temu? But in the spring of 2023, after experiencing some rapid growth on this channel, which had me gain over 20,000 subscribers in just a few short months, that all changed very quickly. All of a sudden, I was being inundated with emails from brands trying to get me to partner with them and promote their product or service on this channel. The vast majority of them were crap, things I would never use and never promote, but generally I would at least Google the brand and try to figure out what they were all about before just smashing that delete button. Well, around that time, one of the emails that came in was from Temu, who I had never heard of up till then. And the email was pretty vague, it was obviously quite generic, it was obviously written by somebody with broken English, but when I googled Temu and found their website, I immediately knew what I was looking at. It was another Wish.com, a Chinese marketplace selling you everything you could ever want, and probably a lot of things you don't want. You name it, they had it. Home decor, electronics, kitchenware, pet supplies, pretty much anything you could ever think of. But if for some reason the obscenely low prices weren't enough on their own to tickle my spidey sense, you should see the rest of this website. I think that if anxiety could be illustrated, it would look just like Temu.com. Flashing lights and bright colors offering you better discounts and freebies, clocks ticking down telling you that the deals are about to come to an end, games you can play to win bigger and better discounts. Essentially, the whole website is designed to basically be a gamified way of instilling panic in you and giving you the sense of FOMO to get you to stay on the website and spend as much as you possibly can on a bunch of stuff you don't need because the prices are so cheap. How could you say no? The entire thing was a glaring red flag that I had absolutely no interest in associating myself with, and I actually found it particularly amusing that they would want to try to partner with me on this channel, knowing that the entire premise is about intentionality, but they didn't watch my videos, I know that for a fact, and that's fine. The point is that I deleted the email immediately and never really gave it a second thought. But then something strange happened. Later that same day, I went to work, to my day job, to meet with a client, and when I arrived at her house, I walked into, I'm trying to think of what a nice way to put this is, what's a polite way to say this? A clusterfuck, an absolute clusterfuck, of bright orange bags with Temu printed across them, scattered across her dining room table. There were dozens of them, and she could not wait to show me what she got. It was package after package of the most shittiest shit I've ever seen in my life, the most useless crap, the cheapest quality garbage I'd ever seen. I didn't even know what to say. I was trying to be nice. I didn't really say anything, I don't think. Unbeknownst to me, the Super Bowl had just happened, and I was clueless. I have no idea because I don't have a TV, and I also just don't give a shit about sports. But apparently Temu had advertised on the Super Bowl, and that took them from a place of obscurity to full-blown pandemonium, and they were all the rage, and I was just in the dark, I guess, as usual.
Download the Temu app and shop like a billionaire.
I guess I was just out of the loop, but it seems like everybody was apparently clamoring to buy like a $10 tortilla-shaped blanket, or maybe a package of unrated string lights, which are definitely not going to short circuit and burn your house down, right? The very next day, I got another email from Temu, which I initially assumed was just an accident, like a double email, so I deleted it. But about an hour later, I got another one. And another, and another. And this continued, with them emailing me multiple times every week, sometimes multiple times within a single day, trying to solicit a brand deal with me. Well, here you go, Temu. Here is the video you wanted, and you didn't even have to pay me for it. You're welcome. In the time since, they have sent me over 80 emails. Not even exaggerating, more than 80 emails in the last year. And I've since come to learn that they do this to every creator. But that in itself doesn't necessarily make Temu a bad place to shop, does it? Well, no, I guess not. But even pushing email harassment aside, Temu is the absolute worst. Temu represents what is, at least in my opinion, some of the absolute worst traits of humanity. Excess, greed, impulsivity, wastefulness, a lack of respect for ourselves, for each other, for the environment. They just promote this culture of, I want it now, and I want it dirt cheap. As I mentioned, the prices on Temu are very cheap, like crazy cheap, and so it makes it very easy to justify buying things you don't need, because like how could you say no to, for example, a $2 smartwatch? But this entire business model and the mindset it promotes is completely unsustainable in many ways. I often think about how we've gotten to this point as a society, as a culture, where there's no pride of ownership, there's no value in anything. Everything is just a throwaway. We see something for the first time and immediately decide that we have to have it, even if we didn't know that it existed just a few minutes prior, and especially if we see that somebody else already has it.
Oh God, it's so unnecessary!
The buy it now button might be the most widely abused substance on the planet, because every time that you hit buy it now and you make a purchase, your brain gets a little flash of dopamine. But dopamine is a very short-lived high, and so by the time that that package arrives at your doorstep, you're already over it. So what do? You go and you buy more things. You hit buy it now again and again and again, just trying to chase that high. Pair that with the insecurity that people often feel when somebody else has something and they don't, and we have a recipe for an addicted society.
If I take that thing to school, everyone's gonna think I'm a poverty-stricken freaking asshole!
Personally, I think this is all very telling of the world we're living in today. Substance use is very closely associated with other mental health conditions like depression and anxiety as people turn to substances to try to self-medicate and cope with their conditions. I'm certainly no doctor, but I think that dopamine is yet another one of those substances. This is purely anecdotal, but the majority of people that I've met in my personal life who I would describe as having a shopping addiction or having hoarder tendencies are typically people who are very insecure and very unhappy, and often they very obviously have other mental health conditions which are coexisting with that shopping dependency. Even on a more benign level, I think it's totally fair to say that all of us, at some point, have used shopping to try to make ourselves happier or cheer ourselves up in certain situations. But it never really works in the long run, does it? If mental health is something you struggle with, and I think that in some way, shape, or form we all do at certain points in our life, short-term dopamine highs are not going to resolve your issues, but therapy can. So if anything I've just said resonates with you, consider trying therapy through today's sponsor, BetterHelp. With the new year upon us, now is as good a time as ever to start prioritizing your mental health and your overall well-being. BetterHelp makes therapy more accessible and more affordable for everyone because it's fully online and you can do your sessions from the comfort of your own home. All you have to do is take a short quiz and BetterHelp will custom match you to one of over 30,000 licensed therapists in their network who can help you overcome whatever is holding you back from achieving your goals. You can talk with your therapist by phone, by video call, or by messenger, whatever is the most comfortable and the most convenient for you. And best of all, if for any reason they're not a good match, you can switch to a new one at any time for no extra cost and without any awkwardness. Personally, this is my absolute favorite part because it's very normal to have to go through a few therapists when you first get started until you find a good match, until you find one you click with. And I don't know about you, but I'm very happy to not have to have that awkward conversation. So if you're ready to join the more than 4 million people who have used BetterHelp to start living a happier and healthier life, head over to betterhelp.com/accordingtonicole or click the link in the description box down below. Using my link saves you 10% off your first month and helps to support this channel as well. Thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Now, I like a good deal as much as the next person, or maybe even more. But we all know the saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, and that totally rings true here. Logically speaking, how could a company design, manufacture, and ship a smartwatch across the entire world for $2 and still make a profit? They can't. It doesn't really make any sense, right? Whenever something is unreasonably cheap, it means that somebody else along the way is paying for it, usually in their labor. Temu is a marketplace, kind of like Amazon, so they allow manufacturers to use their platform to sell their goods to the public directly. But in an effort to break into the US market, Temu has pressured their manufacturers to sell their products at a loss. I guess with the idea being that once they capture a big enough market share, that they can either gradually increase the prices of their dog shit products, or maybe that once they get you on the website, they can sell you something else that has a higher margin. I don't really know. All I do know is that these manufacturers are going broke, losing money on every single order, also that you can buy a nose hair trimmer for $3. And that $3 nose hair trimmer, or that $2 smartwatch, or that $10 tortilla blanket. It's really weird to think about a blanket shaped like a tortilla for starters, but a blanket costing more money than a smartwatch. That doesn't really make any sense, does it? Anyways, all those products are absolutely garbage quality, because of course they are. And no one seems to have an issue with throwing out an item after 1 to 2 uses if it only costs them $5. But all those products have to go somewhere, and that somewhere is the landfill. So just to recap, Temu draws you in by gamifying the experience and pressuring you to spend a whole bunch of money on a whole bunch of shit you don't need, which even at rock bottom prices is a total waste of money. Then they exploit small companies in countries with barely existent labor laws who take that crappy product, put it in a plastic bag, ship it across the world to you, it arrives at your doorstep and you use it once or twice and then you throw it in the garbage, meaning that you spent money, exploited foreign labor, created more trash in the landfill, further polluting the earth, all for nothing. You have nothing now. But wait, there's more. Do you know what happens when we as consumers shop on a website like Temu and see those rock bottom prices? We get used to those rock bottom prices and that becomes normal to us, and we expect those rock bottom prices everywhere we go. Why would you go to a store and spend, $20 on a t-shirt when you can buy one for $2 on Temu? Who wants to do that, right? This puts downward pressure on manufacturers to continue to keep their costs low, and the way that they do that is by further exploiting labor, by forcing people to work harder and faster and longer hours just to keep the cost of goods low and therefore the retail prices low for us as well. It also puts small businesses in a position where they simply can't afford to compete, and we've already seen this happen many times with Walmart and Amazon forcing small local businesses out of town, but somehow it's even more extreme this time. It's quite bizarre to me how we seem to be going backwards as a society. Like in the early 2000s, things like sweatshops and fast fashion, those terms were in popular culture, and it was a faux pas to support those types of businesses. People were being self-aware and trying to make more ethical choices. Same thing with single-use plastics. And then we saw all these companies pop up. Alibaba, Wish.com, Shein, Temu, H&M, Zara, all these companies mass producing crap products, and somehow everybody just took their supposed ethics and threw them out the window like they just didn't care anymore. I think because they probably never did. I think it was just trendy. There was a moment there where people liked to virtue signal and hop on a bandwagon, and for a short period of time, it was trendy. That bandwagon was to act environmentally conscious, and I don't think anybody actually ever cared to begin with. We saw the exact same thing happen with the popularity of fur, where about 20 years ago, fur had become almost entirely obsolete, where everybody seemed to recognize that it was cruel and disgusting and unnecessary to wear it. And the only people you'd really see wearing fur at that point were like nasty, rich, miserable old people who would wear like full-length mink coats.
That's quite a wrap you're wearing. Perhaps I could get you some fluffy new slippers made from the heads of innocent and defenseless baby seals.
And then companies like Canada Goose and Moose Knuckle came along with their fur-lined coats and their down-stuffed coats, and all of a sudden, nobody really seemed to have a problem with it anymore. Because again, most people don't actually have ethics, they just virtue signal, and they hop from one bandwagon to the next in effort to fit in. And with that, I think it's important that I am totally transparent and honest with you here and say that I once placed an order with Temu. I know, it was a lapse in judgment. I'm not better than anybody else, and here's proof. Last summer, when I first had heard about Temu, despite everything I just said being obvious to me, I decided to buy something. I'd found some Simpsons stickers for sale, and I didn't really think it was that big of a deal because they were just stickers and they were like $2. I figured, how bad can stickers be? I obviously didn't expect them to be actual licensed merchandise. In fact, I'm not really sure what I was expecting, but I just wanted some Simpsons stickers. I thought they'd be cute to stick on some things. And of course, $2 wasn't enough to get free shipping because of course it wasn't, so I also bought some South Park stickers, some King of the Hill stickers, 2 espresso glasses, and a citrus squeezer. The entire order came out to about $20, which is pretty much what it would have cost me just to buy the citrus squeezer at Walmart. Well, here's the TLDR. Everything I bought was shit. Total garbage. Surprise. I don't know why I was surprised. The Simpsons stickers, which again I knew wouldn't be licensed merchandise, were like the worst quality you could ever imagine. I probably could have printed better stickers from my own printer at home. I don't know if you guys can see this. I have Lisa Simpson on my phone here. I don't know how well it will pick up on the camera, but she's more green than yellow. The cutouts are sloppy, the colors are off. They're trashy quality. The espresso glasses are lopsided, so when you fill them with coffee, they just spill out as they're filling up, so they're useless. And that citrus squeezer I was talking about, the second time that I used it, it snapped, and it left shards of metal and probably lead-based paints in my tzatziki. And you know what? I deserve that. That's what I get for supporting this crap and buying this bullshit. I'll take that one, that was my fault. So I guess I can now say firsthand that Temu is in fact trash. Total garbage, not worth your money, whatever it may be, no matter how cheap it is, it's really not worth it. The quality of the products they sell are worse than what you could get at a dollar store, and that's already pretty bad. But if you do need something that's worth $1 to $2, you're generally going to be better off just going to your local dollar store. If you need something you're only planning to use 1 or 2 times, maybe go out and try to borrow it from a family member instead of buying it, but don't buy it on Temu. And when it comes to something that's actually more expensive, you're going to be way better off just saving up and investing in something that's actually worth buying, something that's worth your money, even if it is considerably more, because at least it's not going to wind up in the garbage in like 2 uses. You know, you're better off spending a lot of money on something you're going to use for a long time than a little bit of money on something you're not really going to get to use at all. There is no situation where I can really see that would make sense to buy anything on Temu, ever. Ultimately, every time that we spend money, we are casting a vote for what we support and what we condone. There's a quote that comes to mind from one of my favorite bands ever, Rise Against, in their song called The Numbers. The quote is, "What will continue to be is what we allow." And I think that that rings very true here. Also, I'm pretty sure that Temu is selling your data, but we'll talk more about that next week. If you enjoyed this video at all, please go ahead and hit that like button. Leave me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've ever ordered from Temu or Wish.com or any of these similar places and what your personal experience has been. If you haven't done so yet, please also consider subscribing to the channel. You can follow me on Instagram at according_to_Nicole. If you'd like to further support the work that I'm doing here, you can check me out at Patreon at patreon.com/accordingtonicole. Links for everything will be in the description box down below. Other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next week.